Hey everybody, it's Miss A and I'm here with an instructional help video for our measurement assessment test. I'm not giving you the exact problems because students are allowed to redo the problems they've missed if they did not pass the test in order to gain extra credit. So I'm going to give you similar type problems. I won't be showing the problems, they will be verbal. So the first problem that we had on the test was we had to convert inches to from feet to inches. So for example, the fence is 9 feet tall. How tall is that in inches? So this is what I know. This is what I'm asking. How tall in inches? All right, so we would use our conversion, which is for every 1 foot, it equals 12 inches. So 9 times 12 is equal to 108 inches. That's an example of the type of problem they had for number 1. Most students actually got this one correct. I didn't have too many problems with this. Number 2. Number 2 is it is converting 2 different types of units and adding them together. So for example, the garden post is 4 foot 3 inches tall. How tall is it in inches? So what I have to do here is I have to change my feet into inches and then I add my 3 inches that I have. So for every 1 foot, it equals 12 inches. So 4 times 12 equals 48, plus 3, because I can't forget about these 3 inches, equals 51 inches tall. So this is an example of the type of question that was number 2. Number 3. For number 3, we are converting pounds to ounces. So for every 1 pound, that's 1 lb. It equals 16 OZs. My dog weighs 47 pounds. How big is she in ounces? So I'm going to take 16 times 47, and this is actually harder than what the kids had to do. I'm going to multiply with partial products. 1 times 4 is 4 and 2 zeros. 4 times 6 is 24. 7 times 10 is 70. 7 times 6 is 42. That's 424. That is 2. That's 112. Add those together. 6, 3, and 5. So my dog weighs 536 ounces. Number 4. Number 4, we had to come up with the expression to solve, and it was converting, they did tons. I'm going to convert pounds to ounces. So for every 1 pound, it equals 16 OZs. If the bag of potatoes weighed 5 lbs, 5 pounds, the expression would be 5 times 16. That's what they're looking for number 4. Number 5. This one had 2 conversions. So for this particular one, they wanted to go, they gave us a problem in yards and they wanted to know how many inches. 2 conversions. So we have, let's say we have 7 yards equals blank inches. Well, when we look at our conversion sheet, we don't have where it goes from yards to inches, but we have from yards to feet and then feet to inches. So we would have to change our yards. So it would be 7 yards is equal to blank feet, and 7 times 3 is 21, and then 21 feet is equal to blank inches, and that is 21 times 12. So that's 252 inches. So this is a double conversion. You have to go from one to another and then from the next one. And this is how I'd set that up. Number 6. This one's multi-response, and they had to look at their their sheet to figure it out. So for example, if the graph that they saw was 1 and 2, anything that is 1 and 2, so this would be the graph. Let me give you an example. 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6. So they would look at their graph and they would look for anything that was 1 to 2. Well, that's 1 and 12, 1 and 3, 1 and 5,280, 1 and, so it would be none of those. 1 and 8, 1 and 2. So it could be pints and cups. 1 and 2, quarts and pints. Let me look at any of the other ones. And none of the other ones, that's 1 and 4, 1 and 16, 1 and 2,000, 1 and 100, 1 and 1,000, 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 and then these. So my answer would be both. It could be both of these. And number 6 is a multi-response. So if they missed number 6, it was most likely because they did not give me all of the answer options. All right, number 7. Number 7 is elapsed time, and many of the kids miss this, and it's such an important topic that they need to learn in order to be successful in life. It's like figuring out, well, how long do you spend at school? Or what time would you get out of school? Or what time is lunch over? These are types of questions that you would answer with something like this. So the example was, let's say, lunch ended at lunch ends at 11:46. We spend 1 hour and 17 minutes working on our math lesson. What time did we get finished? So we could do this a couple of ways. 11:46 plus 1 hour and 17 minutes. So I do that, 7 and 7 is 14, regroup my 1, that's 6, 11 is 12. Now I can't have 64 because there's not 64 minutes in an hour. So what I do is I subtract out an hour in minutes and I give it to my hours. So it's subtract here, add here. That leaves me with 0, 4, and 12 plus 1 is 1 because with an hour it starts back over at 12. So that's plus 1, so that's 1. So 1:04 p.m. We could also do it with a number line, but this is how number 7 looks. Number 8 is also related to time, and it's related to time working. So let's say, for example, Miss Angelo taught a math lesson. Our math lesson had to be split this day, and I taught a math lesson from 8:07 to 8:15. And we had a fire drill, and we got back in the we got back into the classroom 20 minutes later, and we finished our math lesson at 9:14 a.m. So we finished. So this was the start time. This was our end time before our 20-minute break, or our 20-minute fire drill, and this is the time we finished our lesson. So there's 2 things we have to do here. We have to figure out how much time was spent here. Well, 15 minus 7 is 8 minutes. So for that first section, we did 8 minutes. 20 minutes later, this tells me where my next starting time. Well, 20 minutes plus here is 8:35 because 8:15 plus 20 is 8:35. Now I can figure out from 9:14 to 8:35. Well, let's do 30 minutes, which is 9:05. 9:05. And then that would be 9 more minutes, so it's 39 total minutes. So add it together. That day for our math lesson, we spent 47 minutes. This is very similar to what the students have to do on the math test. The next problem is related to data. It's also a math problem. So it says, let's do number 9. We arrived at the grocery store 52 minutes before they close. They close at 10:30 p.m. What time did we arrive at the grocery store? So 10:30 is our ending time. That's the time that it stops. It's the time the store stops. And 52 minutes is my total number of minutes spent at the store. I'm going to subtract out 30 because I can work in a half hour. So that leaves me with 22. Well, 30 minutes before 10:30 is 10 o'clock. Let me subtract out 10 minutes. 10 minutes before 10:30 is 10:20. And that leaves me with 12 minutes. Let me subtract out another 10 minutes. That leaves me with 2 minutes. Minus another 10 minutes. And you can write it here if that helps you. Is 10:10. And then subtract 2 minutes. Well, 2 minutes before 10:10 is 10:08 p.m. So we arrived at the grocery store at 10:08 p.m. That's for number 9. Number 10 takes where you have to add 3 pieces of data and then convert it. So here's an example. We spent 1 hour, 14 minutes reading on Monday, 3 hours and 29 minutes on Tuesday. Wednesday we did 4 hours and 14 minutes. How long did we read in minutes? How long in minutes? That's what they're asking. So I'm going to add these together. 4 and 4 is 8, plus 9 is 17. Regroup a 1. 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. That's 57 minutes, and I can leave that. That's okay. 1, 4, and 3 is 8. So that's 8 hours and 57 minutes. And now I have to convert it. 8 hours is equal to blank minutes. 8 times 6 is 48. Add a 0, 480 minutes, plus 57 minutes is 527 minutes. So you have to add for number 10, add all the like units, and then convert them once you're done. Number 11, 12, and 13 say to use the data graph in order to figure out the problems. So I am going to show you this data graph right here. I'm going to use the same information. I'm just going to pick different problems. So you see we have distance students swam during exercise. This represents how far they went. This represents the number of students that did that. So there were 2 students that did 1/8. That equals 2/8, okay? Because 1/8 plus 1/8 is 2/8. Here we have 2 students did 2/8. 2/8 plus 2/8 is 4/8. So that's how this data information works. So number 11 asks how many students, we could say how many students participated all together. How many students participated? I would count all the X's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 students participated all together. The kids really didn't miss number 11. That one was pretty easy. Number 12 was, number 12 asked about how many miles the entire group swam. So I'm going to formulate another question. I could say, how many miles did anyone who swam under 3/8? So I would draw a line here, and I would figure out how many under 3/8. So these 3 together would be 9/8 because 3 and 3 is 9, and the denominator stays the same. Now I add all these pieces together, and that's 6 plus 9 is 15, 15/8, and now I have to convert 15/8. I can't leave it that way. So I subtract out a whole, which is 8/8, and that leaves me with 7/8. So 1 mile and 7/8. The total for all people who swam under 3/8 was 1 mile and 7/8. The last one asked for the difference between the greatest distance and the least distance, and kids got really confused here. Guys, all they're doing is they're finding their distance. Which one is the furthest distance? Not which one happens most often. Which one is the furthest? Which happens to be this one. And which one is the least, which happens to be this one. Again, it's not how often it happened, it's the distance they actually traveled, and then they have to do some type of math with it. The last problem was converting time. The kids did pretty good with that. If they missed it, it was probably because of the explanation, and they had to actually explain. So, for example, if I have 2 pounds is comparing to 38 ounces, and I wanted to compare them. Well, I would have to change this to ounces, so 1 LB equals 16 ounces, and 16 and 16 is 32 ounces. So 38 ounces is greater than 32. This is what I would write. I changed the pounds to ounces to compare, and 38 OZs is greater than 32 OZs. And that's how we would solve this. I hope this video helps. As my friend Ryan says, slam the, what did he tell me to say? Slam the, he said to slam the subscribe button and hit me up with a like. Thanks, everybody.